What's up everyone, Cheetah here, and today I'm bringing you an achievement walkthrough for Murder Diaries. This game is published and developed by EpiXR Games, and you can pick it up today for a price of $9.99. And to get the full completion, you just have to finish all 16 of the levels, and following along with this video, you should get the full completion in a little over an hour. So this is basically another area game where you fly around and collect the little orbs or collectibles, whatever you want to call them. And this one has a pretty interesting story about a murder. And as usual, I practiced each level and fully memorized them to help you get the full completion as quickly as possible. And sadly, I'm not going to be doing commentary throughout each of the different levels, but it's still very easy to follow along with since you fly around pretty slow. And I'm also going to have timestamps to each of the different levels, but that's going to do it for the commentary. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a like on the video if it was helpful, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time, and enjoy the guide.
Another festering corpse added to the flames of violence that has consumed this neighborhood. That's the way it's always been. I was a fool to ever think I was above it all. Nothing has changed since I did what I did. Good people still die for little to no reason, and my life is as miserable as ever. The only difference is the guilt weighing down on my conscience every day. While I have yet to truly regret what I did, I hope that by writing this down for someone to see after I die, I can somehow ease this tension inside me. I don't expect confessing my sins on paper to do much for my soul, but at the very least it'll help take a load off my chest. Maybe help me sleep a little better at night, because these nights, it's not just the gunshots outside my room keeping me awake. I was around 10 years old when my father was stabbed and killed by the Bloody Bishops gang. Talk to anybody who knew him, and they'll tell you that he wasn't a perfect person. He was a member of the White Rabbits, a gang that butted heads with the Bloody Bishops for territory on a regular basis. That is, until the Bishops wiped them and all other competition out altogether. He might have been a gangster too, hardly any better than the ones that killed him if some of his acquaintances were to be believed. But he was still my father. Whatever he did in the streets to pay our bills, he was nothing but kind to his family. My mother loved him, my little sister adored him, and my older brother idolized him. Me? I was just grateful that I had a father who cared for me, while most people I knew had fathers who walked out on them at birth. The night that he was taken away from me was the night that my life as I knew it came crashing down. I was there when it happened. My father had just walked out of our house to go about his business as a member of the White Rabbits. I still don't know exactly his job was in the gang, but I could make an educated guess. It was a well-known joke in the neighborhood that the White Rabbit's fur was only white because of all the cocaine they were packing. He was dressed in his gang color that day, presumably to announce to everyone around him to not fuck with him or risk invoking the wrath of the White Rabbits. It ended up having the opposite effect. His pristine white jacket, his symbol of allegiance to his gang, was dyed red when a member of the Bloody Bishops ran up and stabbed him in the chest. I can remember the sound of the knife piercing flesh. My father screamed of surprise. The fear in his voice and the cracking of his ribs as the knife forced its way into his heart. His attacker kept stabbing his already collapsed body over and over again. Just to make sure that he was never going to get up again. I can only pray that he was already dead by the first stab, and that I only imagine the sounds of gurgling that I heard that day. My father's killer was not a well-known gang member when I first saw him. My father's killer was not a well-known gang member when I first saw him. He was little more than another hoodlum from the Bloody Bishops who killed a man from a rival gang just to boost his street cred. But I burned the image of his face into my mind. It haunted me every night for the remainder of my short childhood. After my father's death, my mother fell into depression. My sister and I tried her best to comfort her, but being children, neither her nor I could do much to help support our family. My older brother, driven by rage and grief, joined the White Rabbits in an attempt to continue our father's legacy. It might have been a legacy of crime and violence, but I suppose in his mind it was a way to keep our father alive in his heart. He died in the same gang war that wiped out all competition for the Bloody Bishops, shot in the neck in the middle of a firefight, and left to bleed out on the cold concrete ground by ally and enemy alike. I only hope he had some sense of inner peace as he died fighting for our father. My mother was devastated after my father died, but she broke entirely when my older brother joined him. She was already throwing herself into her multiple part-time jobs to help raise us without our father's blood money paying our bills. When my brother died, she hardly ever came home sober anymore. What little time she didn't spend working, she spent at the local pub drinking her troubles away, only to come home drunk in the wee hours of the morning for not nearly enough rest before her next shift. Because of that, I had to take over caring for my little sister, Natalie. She was always a well-behaved girl. The most precious little thing in the world, not to mention unusually optimistic. I swear, you could throw shit at her face, and she'd use it as fertilizer for a flower to give to you. She was a welcome ray of constant sunshine in my otherwise bleak life, even if her absurd cheerfulness made me wonder if she had a few screws loose at times. I practically raised her with help from our absent mother's money after the deaths in our family. But as much as I loved her, and worried for my mother's declining mental and physical health, I could never let go of the same hate and spite that had consumed my older brother until he succumbed to it. Since my brother couldn't carry out vengeance for our father, I decided to continue his work. I thought that by doing that, I'd be able to not make his death be entirely in vain. I was a lot more exact with vengeance than my brother was, though. Unlike him, I was able to see the face of our father's murderer, while he only saw the colors he wore. So when I spotted my father's killer years later swaggering around the neighborhood one day wearing the Bloody Bishop's red colors, I started planning. I was never the strongest kid in school, but I like to think that I was cleverer than most. Being a bit, well, quite a bit on the short side, I also didn't stand out, no matter where I was. Blending into the background to avoid trouble was basically second nature to me. For once in my life, I was glad that I looked so unremarkable. It let me stalk the man who murdered my father, with him none the wiser to my presence. He seemed to be on the young side, barely into his 20s by the looks of it. Everywhere he went, he did so in an aggressive swagger that demanded everyone's fear and attention. I can only assume that he was only a teenager when he killed my father. Not that that made him any less evil in my eyes. I wasn't about to forgive him, just because he was a minor when he ruined life for my family. After stalking my father's murderer for weeks and memorizing his usual routes and routines, I finally learned his name. Sam TEN-SHANKS Smith. Yeah, I was a bit confused about the nickname too at first. Then I overheard him bragging to some mates about the story that earned him that prestigious title. According to him, he got the nickname after he stabbed a senior member of a rival gang 10 times when he was only 15. A rival gang called the White Rabbits that no longer exists after the Bloody Bishops put an end to them, once and for all. He even claimed that he was part of the final firefight. I put two and two together, and my rage reached a boiling point. That senior gang member he seemed so proud of killing was my father. That final firefight with the White Rabbits was the one where my older brother died. And although the exact details of my father's murder have faded over the years, I knew for a fact that the bastard stabbed him way more than just 10 times. At the time, it felt to me like TEN-SHANKS reveled in killing members of my family. But deep down, I knew he was just some punk who killed for the glory he got from it. A simple-minded mad dog that the Bloody Bishops pat on the head every time he's sent out to kill their enemies. That didn't make me want to kill him any less, though. I waited until I knew all of Sam's little habits by heart before striking. The reverence he showed when talking to senior gang members in contrast to his flippant tone with his parents. the favorite shows he'd always make time for to watch at home every week. His favorite food, the paths he took, and the friends he met. I learned it all, hoping that any information at all would help give me an edge to my quarry. In truth, I think I may have been putting it off for as long as possible out of fear. I'd never even been in a fight before, yet here I was planning to commit premeditated murder. However, my hesitation was not out of pity for my intended victim. Had I been given the opportunity to do so without consequence, I would have jumped at the chance to kill him. But if I were to be caught after killing him, or even worse, be seen by his fellow gang members in the middle of attacking him, my little sister would be left alone with no one to take care of her. Our mother sure as hell wouldn't have been able to. She barely made time away from work to sleep, much less care for her children. I don't blame her for it, but it meant that taking care of Natalie was entirely on my shoulders. If I were to kill Sam TEN-SHANKS Smith, I would have to do so in a way that would let me get away scot-free, to see my sister grow up with the kind of childhood she deserved. Other than his usual routes and hangout spots, I also studied the way Sam fought in a few brawls I managed to catch him in. I'm no martial arts expert, but even I could tell that he wasn't a trained fighter. Sure, he was taller than the average guy, and from the looks of it could throw one hell of a punch, but his techniques were sloppy despite his clear strength. It was like seeing a spiked ball and chain being flailed around, powerful, but clumsy. He always starts fights with a right hook that he puts all of his strength in, presumably in hopes of finishing the fight in a single punch. It always leaves him staggering from the weight of his own punch, though his victim is always left much worse off. Nine times out of 10, if he misses his punch, then the person he's fighting has a chance to counterattack with a punch or a kick of their own. I took note of that fact in particular. I'm no fighter. I'm probably the furthest thing from someone you'd think would pick a fight with a known gang member. The closest thing to a fight I'd been in was kicking an aggressive stray dog that was growling at my sister. But in this case, I wasn't looking for a fight with Sam. I didn't need to brawl with him to prove that I was better, or any of that rubbish. I just needed to kill him. One of Sam's most frequented spots at night was the local burger joint. Every Friday like clockwork, he'd walk into Big Ben's burger place and order the same takeout every time. A double cheeseburger with fries, Coke, and special sauce. I found it a bit weird at first. I'd expected someone like him to be drinking long into the night at a pub or a bar somewhere, not chowing down on a burger in some small mom-and-pop shop. So I did a little more digging and started staking out the burger joint every Friday, thinking that he must have had some ulterior motive to frequenting the place. Turns out I was right. He was just the one the Bloody Bishops had tasked with extorting the place for their protection racket. That special sauce he loved to order so much was really just $500 tucked under the food in the brown delivery bag. That helped explain why the little old couple who ran the place looked so terrified whenever he walked through the door. On days when he was feeling especially dickish, he'd even mess with some of the sit-down customers before he left, flipping over their drinks, feeling up women's skirts, stealing food even though he already got some for free, that sort of thing. As if I needed any more justification for killing him. It was at that point that I thought that killing him would not only fuel my revenge, but also help a lot of people out in the neighborhood while I was at it. It was on a rainy Friday night when I decided to carry out my father and brother's revenge. The sky was pouring as if it was mourning the life that was about to be taken that night, though I doubted that anyone shared its feelings. Certainly not me, since I was the one waiting out in the rain for the chance to take it. so long for that moment. All my silent stalking and meticulous planning and holding on to grief for the sake of vengeance. It was all to lead up to that one moment when I could take the life of the man who ruined mine. The heavy guilt I felt from all the lies I told Natalie whenever I stayed out late would be washed away alongside his blood in the rain. At least, that's what I thought as I gripped the knife so hard my knuckles turned white. I was convinced that I would never be able to find closure until I killed him with my own two hands. But as I stood there with my disposable raincoat's hood up in the alley with the pitch black sky pouring down on me, I almost wished that he wouldn't show up. I knew for a fact that he would come passing by, just like any other day. Even if he didn't want to be outside, the Bloody Bishops weren't going to let a little rain keep them from their sweet, sweet extortion money. He had no choice but to go to Big Ben's Burger Place to pick up the money and pass through the alley where I was waiting to get back home. I planned for this night for the past year, going through every scenario in my head to make sure that I would not be caught no matter what. And yet when the time came to carry out my carefully laid out plan, I found myself hesitant to go through with it. However, it wasn't cowardice that held me back. I knew that that was the night that I would forever be changed. Even if nobody but me would ever know it, I would no longer be Jack Spencer, the kind older brother doomed the son from that night on. The moment I plunge my knife into him, I'll become a murderer. The very sort of scum that took my father and brother away from me, and turned my loving mother into the neglectful alcoholic she is now. How could I even look Natalie in the eye after I had still call myself a good role model for her? It took so much for me to convince myself that it was worth it, and even then, I remained unsure. That is, until I saw him walk into the alley for myself. The bastard bumped into me and said something along the lines of, "Out of my way, little bitch," as he did so. I got a crystal clear look at his face under the hood because of it. Aside from the bear's tints of stubble on his chin, he looked exactly the same as he did the day he killed my father in front of me. He must have been a little more than annoyed that he still had to go out in the heavy rain to collect money for the gang like the good little dog he was playing fetch for his master. He wasn't wearing a raincoat or holding an umbrella. All he had to shield himself from the rain was a simple gray hoodie pulled over his head. I guess that he must not have looked into the weather forecast for the area like I did in preparation. The rainwater had soaked into the thick fabric of his hoodie, weighing him down and making his already sloppy swagger even slower. His sagging trousers, which he already wore way lower than should be practical, were now like wet weighted shackles around his ankles. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. I waited until he had his back to me. I wasn't looking for a drawn-out fight, just a quick kill. I thought that if I was lucky, I'd be able to take him out in one fell swoop by stabbing him in the back. took a deep breath, drew my knife from my pocket, and got to work. My first thought when planning Sam's death was to use a kitchen knife, but I'd read that their handles tended to slip when used for stabbing and ended up hurting the person holding it. The last thing I needed was my DNA on Sam's corpse, so I opted to use an old combat knife I bought for $2 at a garage sale in a different part of the city instead. Of course, I also wore gloves to make sure that I didn't leave my fingerprints anywhere near the crime scene. When I plunged my knife into Sam Smith's back, I felt a weight being lifted off my shoulders. Then, the cracking of his spine at the tip of the knife. He let out a high-pitched scream of surprise and pain that was drowned out by the rain and thunder. I was sure that he was already done for by the first stab. Best case scenario for him at that point was he somehow got medical attention in time and became a paraplegic for life. That wasn't enough for me, though. When he gutted my father like a fish, he stabbed him so many times that he got a nickname for it. I was about to return the favor in kind. I brought my knife down on his back over and over again. I lost count of how many times by the 10th stab. In that moment, hearing him beg for mercy on the ground with his face planted in the dirt made all the waiting worth it. Though he couldn't see me with his hood now draped over his face, a part of me wanted him to know who I was before he died. To be more precise, I wanted him to know exactly why he was dying like a dog on the streets that day, and for that fact to haunt him for the rest of his very short life. I flipped Sam over on the ground. Blood poured from the holes on his back and drizzled down a nearby drain alongside the rain, erasing any evidence, exactly as I'd planned. I looked him in the eyes, wide with fear and confusion. I wasn't wearing any gang colors, just a plain clear raincoat splattered with blood and dripping with rainwater over nondescript clothes that any witness would have had a hard time remembering. He must have been racking his brain for gangs that I could have belonged to. He opened his mouth again, probably to ask me why I was doing this. I slashed him across the throat before he could get a word out, but I gave him an answer anyways. I told him exactly who I was, the son of the man he killed to earn this stupid little nickname. I don't know if he even remembered who my father was anymore. That didn't really matter anymore, though. He wouldn't have been able to give an answer while choking on his own blood. I watched as the life faded from his eyes. For the first time since my brother's death, a genuine smile of happiness spread across my face. It was the last thing Sam TEN-SHANKS Smith saw before I sent him to hell with one last stab to the eye. After killing Sam, I made even more cuts around his body and waited for him to bleed out as much as possible, so that the rain would wash the blood down the drain. I knew that nobody would come around the alleyway. Sam himself chose to use the alleyway as his usual route because people hardly ever came by, making it less likely that anyone would see him while he was carrying his extortion money. Once most of the blood had been drained from his corpse, I dragged him over to a nearby dumpster and threw him inside. I spent some time covering it up with trash so that the dumpster truck driver won't notice him when he comes to pick up the trash. I also threw the knife I used to kill him down the drain to be forever lost in the sewers. I'd have dumped Sam's body in there too, had the opening been big enough. I then washed off the blood from my raincoat with the rain, pocketed it, and used a collapsible umbrella to make my way home. I took the long way around, passing by an old warehouse where homeless people were known to frequent. As expected, there was no one there at night. A charity event in the neighborhood had opened the food kitchen for the homeless that night. Bless their souls. I used one of the trash cans that the homeless had been using as a makeshift fire pit for the warmth to burn the raincoat I wore during the murder. I arrived home before my mother did, with no one the wiser. I was happy that I could finally go back to just living my life now that Sam was dead, but when Natalie welcomed me back home with a smile, I felt something else well up inside me. Shame. Not of being a murderer, but of not being the same good person Natalie clearly thought I was. I've been living a lie since that day. Pretending to be a kind and helpful older brother to my little sister who had no idea of what I'd done. The worst part, despite my feelings of guilt for lying to my sister, I've yet to regret killing Sam Smith. I replay his murder over and over in my head every night, but it doesn't haunt me. I miss it. That feeling of power over another human being. The indescribable satisfaction of a carefully laid out plan carried out to perfection. The catharsis that came after I unleashed all the righteous indignation that had been welling up inside me since I was 10 years old. I want to feel it again. Only my love for Natalie has been keeping me away from the urge to experience the thrill of killing once more. I can only pray it stays that way.